wish I had had those news live feeds that could show headlines at the bottom. Something. I don't know. Let's play the game. And we're live. Oh, I just said let's play the game. No, this is a podcast. What am I doing? Here's a podcast, guys. This is a weekly installment I obligate myself to do every week. And I moved it to Friday, so it's an excuse for me to reveal my reaction to Dave Meltzer's ratings on stream. Okay, starting with an announcement. My next project, October 24th, 2025. There may be a project that will follow the next day. So, let's keep writing. You will see the bar writing streams. Let's get after it, okay? Next, there are no inquiries. Next, there are no mentions. Next, here's the first of the thoughts I have. Decline, thank you. We're gonna, as always, zoom in 150%. From University of California, Riverside's David Danelski. Q&A, autism and Tylenol. Beyond the rhetoric, what does the science tell us about acetaminophen and autism risk? The federal administration offered health guidance at a press conference this week. How long is this article? I will read all of this because why not? This week, urging pregnant women to avoid using over-the-counter painkiller acetaminophen marketed in the U.S. as Tylenol, saying the use of the medication is associated with a higher risk of having children with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. The official statement by the Health and Human Services, HHS, however, differs from what was said in the press conference. It states that clinicians should exercise their best judgment when pregnant women have fevers or pain and prescribe acetaminophen at the lowest effective dose for the shortest duration. We asked Catherine Meltzer, a UCR associate professor in the School of Education, to answer questions about what's known about Tylenol and its association with ASD. I'm going to butcher some of these pharmaceuticals, so let me pull up Google Translate again. She also answers questions about autism and vaccine, the use of the drug. That's Vietnamese. I copied it into Google Translate. It's Vietnamese. Vietnam.
Leucovorin.
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 Leucovorin. Leucovorin.
Leucovorin as a treatment. And concerns about autism misunderstandings. Meltzer is a clinical psychologist who specializes in diagnosing ASD, the director of an autism center, and a neuroscientist who measures brain activity in children and adolescents with and without ASD. Question: why do you feel compelled to speak out about this issue? ASD, commonly referred to as autism, is not political and affects children regardless of their parents' political affiliation. I hope that my perspective and summary of what we know, what still needs to be studied, and what we think based on available evidence will help folks who are feeling confused, unsure, or frustrated by conflicting information. Please note that throughout this Q&A, I use both autistic and person with ASD. This reflects increasing recognition that different people prefer different language. Question: does acetaminophen cause autism? How do we know? Answer: based on what we know, it is incorrect to recommend that expectant mothers not take Tylenol, acetaminophen. It is more accurate to tell people that there is a potential association between ASD and acetaminophen use, but not a causative one. Recommending judicious use and consultation with a doctor is more aligned with what the evidence says. Here's a rundown of the most important research findings. Historically, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and European Medicines Agency considered acetaminophen safe to use during pregnancy. More recent studies suggest more caution. A consensus statement put out in 2021 by an international group of scientists and clinicians recommended that pregnant women avoid acetaminophen unless medically indicated due to the potential risk of developmental disorders, including ASD and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A 2024 study of almost 2.5 million children in Sweden found that 7.49% of children were exposed to acetaminophen during pregnancy, and those exposed to acetaminophen were slightly more likely to be diagnosed with ASD compared to those not exposed to acetaminophen. The absolute risk difference was 0.09% for ASD, meaning the risk of ASD at age 10 was 0.09% higher for those exposed to acetaminophen versus those unexposed. Let's put that in perspective, just accounting for that statistic. 0.09% higher. Let's take a sample size of, say, 10,000 children. Nine more children would have ASD. Okay. Now putting that into perspective, okay. 0.9% high, 0.09% higher. 100, yeah. The absolute risk difference was 0.09% for ASD, meaning the risk of ASD at age 10 was 0.09% higher for those exposed to acetaminophen versus those unexposed. However, when the authors controlled for genetic factors, acetaminophen was not associated with an increased risk of ASD. This was done by comparing the rate of ASD in cases where parents had multiple children and used acetaminophen in one pregnancy but not the other. This is important because we know ASD has a genetic component. The authors concluded that the most likely explanation for why associations have been observed between ASD and acetaminophen is due to a combination of factors, including parent genetics and the underlying conditions that cause acetaminophen use, such as fever, infection, and recurrent pain. A 2025 review of 46 previous studies found that 27 reported links between acetaminophen and ASD and/or ADHD. 9 did not find any relationship, and 4 found negative associations that acetaminophen might be protective against these diagnoses. Since this review was limited to previously published research, the conclusions are limited by the strength and accuracy of the 46 papers the authors reviewed. I'll say this Canadian now. Still, the authors concluded that a balanced approach was needed and therefore recommended judicious use of acetaminophen rather than a limitation on usage. Observational studies have shown a possible association between acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders, but not causation. Can you explain why this distinction is so critical in interpreting scientific results? Overall, the literature on this topic is complex and shows no mixed results. However, it is important to remember that, thus far, no study has been able to systematically separate the potential effects of acetaminophen itself from the potential effects of the underlying reasons for taking acetaminophen: fever, illness, infection, headache. This is because infections and fevers in pregnancy are associated with increased ASD risk, a 2018 study found. There is an association between acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders in some studies, but thus far it is only an association. Causation is different from association. Causation implies that we know that one thing causes another, even when accounting for other factors. A classic example of this is the association or correlation between shark attacks and ice cream sales. It is true that there is a positive association between shark attacks and ice cream sales, but does that mean that shark attacks cause ice cream sales or that ice cream sales cause shark attacks? No. There is a third factor, hot weather, that explains increases in both shark attacks and ice cream sales. In the case of ASD, it is unlikely that there is one factor explaining both acetaminophen use and the increased prevalence of ASD. Rather, it's more likely that multiple factors explain the association between acetaminophen and autism rates. But the overall point remains that it is important to remember that associations are different than causation. The FDA's own statement about acetaminophen and ASD notes that a causative relationship has not been established. Do vaccines cause autism? How do we know? Answer: based on all the available evidence we have, vaccines, including the measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, vaccine do not cause autism. A 2015 study reviewed records from 95,727 children. These children had older siblings either with a diagnosis of ASD or without a diagnosis of ASD. Nearly 7% of children who had older siblings with ASD were themselves diagnosed with ASD, compared to 0.9% of children who had an older sibling without ASD. Hello, Marquise. We're talking about Tylenol and autism, and why this is... People just say things. We interpret this as evidence that genetics plays a sizable role in ASD. The authors measured MMR vaccination rate at ages 2 to 5, along with the child's diagnostic status. This was measured separately for children with and without an older sibling with ASD. Measuring these groups separately is important because there is concern that children who are genetically at risk for ASD might be vulnerable to developing ASD in response to the MMR vaccine. The MMR vaccine was not associated with an increased risk of ASD, regardless of whether the child had an older sibling with ASD or not. There was no evidence that the MMR vaccine increased ASD diagnosis, even among children at high risk, due to genetic factors. These findings are consistent with numerous other studies that demonstrate a lack of association between vaccines and ASD. Yeah, bro, should be a fired class today with Dr. Tulung. I mean, I'm just reading an article that I'm in response to a headline that's kind of sparked my interest. I would say ticked me off, but then I would speak out of ignorance. But that's how I felt, and based on what I knew. And we're gonna try and move closer to whatever truth lies. A 2019 study of 650,943 children born in Denmark between 1999 through 2010 came to the same conclusion. It similarly compared vaccinated to unvaccinated children and found no association between MMR and ASD, even in subgroups who had a sibling diagnosed with ASD. A review, also from 2019, discusses available evidence from multiple studies and comes to the same conclusion. While there are many unknowns when it comes to ASD, the science on autism and vaccines is clear. Can leucovorin, folinic acid, cure or reverse autism? How do we know? Answer: it is important to know that cerebral folate... Let me Google Translate that, see if it's right. Folate? I have a question, Dr. Tulung. Why do you always... The red shirt, is that your favorite shirt? Like I see you every time, LOL, yes. I have a great many red shirts. I like them. Makes me feel powerful. This is, in fact, my favorite shirt. I'm wearing my favorite shirt right now. Of all the red shirts I own, this is my favorite. I just like it. Oh, the origin is that I wanted to feel like I went to Harvard. So I opted for the dark red polo shirt, and it just evolved into this.
Cerebral folate deficiency.
Cerebral folate deficiency. It's important to note that cerebral folate deficiency, CFD, has been found in some individuals with ASD. Children have too little... Did you wear it in the SMB stream? I didn't use Facecam often. I think the only public Super Meat Boy stream I did was on Christmas. And I wore my Sunday best. But Facecam is few and far in between, except for these things. Found in some individuals with ASD, children have too little folate in their cerebrospinal fluid. However, CFD also causes other challenges beyond symptoms of ASD, seizures, coordination issues, etc. Previous studies suggest that mothers who supplement with folate during conception and pregnancy are less likely to have a child with ASD. A recent 24-week double-blind, placebo-controlled trial of 80 children, 40 got placebo, 40 got folinic acid, found more improvements in parent-rated ASD severity in the folinic acid group versus the placebo group. I even saw on the Wolfenstein 2 stream when you mind leaving for a bronze trophy. Mind leaving is indeed a bronze trophy. And yeah, I also wore a red shirt in that. It was a Lacoste shirt. We're closing in on 3 years since Mein Leben. It's crazy. Importantly, participants were tested for anti-folate receptor autoantibodies, which are thought to contribute to CFD and ASD. In the folinic acid group, children with high levels of autoantibody. I'm going to speed through this because I don't know what this is. I already have an idea of what this is. In the folinic acid group, children with high levels of autoantibodies showed more improvements than children with lower levels of the autoantibodies. Still at 0.1, LOL. It's hard. A lot of people don't have time and patience. If you look at the comments of my Mein Leben stream, you got people saying, "Oh, I don't have time for this." And I said, "Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's why it probably stays at a 0.1%. More improvements in children with lower levels of the autoantibodies. The study is not the only one to find that folinic acid leads to improvements in ASD symptoms. I got Deadbolt Platinum last night too as well. Congratulations. I knew you could do it because you kept playing and you kept learning. That's what every Platinum Trophy's about. A 2016 study, for example, had similar findings. Overall evidence suggests that folinic acid can improve some autism symptoms and appears to be safe based on current research. However, the studies have included small numbers of participants, and the improvements reported are also small. But people will get Super Meat Boy, Platinum Wolfenstein 2. I read and heard some places that there's something related to the PSP or PS Vita that makes the... Yeah. Maybe they just like platformers. Maybe the repetition, the repetitiveness of platforming Platinum Trophies are, you know, it's an easy... Yeah. Overall, evidence suggests that folinic acid can improve some autism symptoms and appears to be safe based on current research. However, the studies have included small numbers of participants and the improvements reported are also small. More research is needed before we should recommend the use of folinic acid, and the FDA should follow its normal process before recommending broad usage for ASD. I'm going to basically wrap the rest of this. Despite what was said in the press conference, the official FDA statement says that leucovorin and folinic acid can help with cerebral folate deficiency at CFD, not that folinic acid is approved for ASD itself. It is also important to remember that no studies have found evidence that folinic acid reverses or cures ASD. The symptom improvements are small, and there is no evidence that any child in any of the studies used folinic acid and went on to no longer have ASD. Great. Question. I'm playing a chill game before Shadow Warrior. Good. Everybody needs a deload period. Myself included. That's why I haven't gone for hard platinum trophies since Elden Ring. How might unclear claims about autism causation affect the public's understanding of this complex condition, especially among expectant mothers and caregivers? Answer. Scientists and clinicians working with this population have often quipped that it shouldn't be called autism, but rather autisms, due to the complex and multifaceted nature of the condition, along with the variability that characterizes the autism spectrum. It is probable that the causes of autism are numerous. Claims are genetics, environmental factors, etc. Claims that ASD is caused by a single factor are unlikely, given that multiple genes have been implicated, along with other environmental and situational factors like fever and/or infection during pregnancy. Unfortunately, claims about single factors causing ASD, especially those that aren't clearly supported by scientific evidence, are likely to worry expectant mothers and make caregivers confused due to conflicting information from different sources. It is important that mothers and caregivers talk to their doctor about any concerns they have. We'll keep going, but I mean, Super Meat Boy was my last hard plat. You could, sure, my last world class platinum trophy, sure. Yeah. I mean, I captured all of it on stream. The reason why I stream my platinum trophies is to prove the legitimacy of each of them. And some of them I haven't, I stream them, but they're not legitimate, so, I mean, that kind of throws it out the window, but whatever. What are your concerns about misunderstandings about autism? It is important to acknowledge that generalizations about autism can be harmful. Autism is characterized by a wide spectrum of needs. Some autistic individuals excel in work and school and need little, if any, support. Others have higher support needs and may benefit from special education or other services. Oh, shoot. Individuals with the highest support needs, sometimes referred to as having profound autism, often need consistent supervision and care. Recent research suggests that 39.6% of individuals with ASD have co-occurring intellectual disability. 36.1% have average or above average cognitive functioning, and the remaining 24.2% fall in the middle. Autistic self-advocates and their families have stated that claims about curing autism further stigmatization and misunderstandings about the condition. The neurodiversity framework seeks to increase recognition that all people and all brains are different. No two brains are the same. Understanding of neurodiversity calls for increased acceptance and decreased pathologization of conditions like ASD, ADHD, and other forms of neurodivergence. This framework believes that every person should be valued and respected, and notes that many autistic people see autism as central to who they are rather than something they want to be cured of. How hard is the XCOM 2 plat legit? Because I want to know. I know it's not harder than Mein Leben, but it's rarer than Mein Leben. I don't know, unless the XCOM 2 has Vita. A legit XCOM 2 Platinum Trophy, I would argue, is harder than Mein Leben. Mein Leben took, it took multiple Mein Leben runs, but then I told myself, let's train on Death Incarnate first. When I got to 1 or 2 deaths in Death Incarnate, Mein Leben, no death, almost instantaneous for me. A legit XCOM 2 plat, I would argue, is harder than the Wolfenstein 2 Platinum Trophy, in my opinion. Speaking of autism, as a professional in the field, I believe that everyone should be able to make informed decisions about their own care and well-being. Are there any cheese strats on Super Meat Boy? The only cheese strat I know is relegated to 1 level in the Cotton Alley Dark World. And the only exploit really you can do is that if you're close to death, you can pause and start over. That's it. I could not find any other cheese in the game. Super Meat Boy is a pretty bulletproof platformer and Platinum Trophy, which is why it's so hard. Oh, there's another cheese. There's 2. Nah, it's not really cheese. It's just like Deadbolt. Sure, man. I believe that everyone may conform. Yep. I think interventions or therapies for ASD should not be designed to make someone less autistic, but rather should help that person with important life skills for independence and thriving. For example, I think it is important for all individuals, including those with ASD, to have the ability to communicate with others. Communication can happen via sign language, an assisted communication device, or verbally. It is less important how someone communicates, and more important that we give them the ability to communicate, since being unable to communicate is frustrating. When autistic children engage in self-injurious behaviors, such as headbanging, my highest priority is to figure out why they are engaging in that behavior and to practice safer alternatives. For a teenager who wants to make more friends, my priority is to help that person come up with strategies for talking to new people and to practice skills for making and keeping friends. If the teenager learns those skills and decides they don't want to use them, that should be their choice. No one should be forced to be more neurotypical or less autistic. Rather, people's autonomy and choices should be respected while still providing necessary support and practicing skills that can help them thrive. Great! I agree. Well said. But autism and Tylenol, I mean, this really reinforces everything I've known about this apparent correlation. Next, we have... Here's some gaming news. We have an IGN article. This Xbox generation will be remembered for one thing. Greed. Okay, is this muted? Good. This Xbox generation will be remembered for one thing. From IGN's Ryan McCaffrey. XCOM 2 has a no-death run and a timer trophy as well. Big yikes. That is correct. Made all easier with the Iron Man exploit. Doing that exploit takes it from maybe a 9.5 to a 4 or 5. Maybe a 3. I don't know. It's been over 3 years since I got that. Alright, Phil Spencer has been the head of Xbox. Now officially the CEO of Microsoft Gaming for over a decade now. And up until very recently, I'd argue that under his watch, the brand really did put players first, even if Xbox has continued to lose market share to PlayStation. As a reminder, Phil immediately unbundled the Kinect from the Xbox One, removing the $100 albatross, weighing the console down. Yeah, but that takes away the pain. I can't just do it, lol. Alright, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I suppose. His first big initiative as boss was championing backwards compatibility, which is inarguably a huge success. FPS Boost on Xbox Series later made many of those old games run even better. He dragged Sony, kicking and screaming, into normalizing crossplay. The Xbox One one-upped the PS4 Pro by offering true native 4K. And Xbox gaming has undeniably become more inclusive in the Phil Spencer era, thanks to the Xbox Adaptive Controller, as well as laudable ASL features in multiple first-party games. Finally, there's Xbox Game Pass, whose mystery economics continue to make it controversial amongst both gamers and developers alike, but nevertheless has been a tremendous value for subscribers. Until now, at least. On IGN's Unlocked podcast, I, being Ryan McCaffrey, far too often make reference to that Simpsons gif where Sideshow Bob keeps stepping on the rakes he's surrounded by. And the reason I do that is because Xbox always seems to find a way to ruin any momentum it builds up, typically through no fault of anyone but itself. I have a question. Is XCOM playthrough the same? Can I watch somebody do the Iron Man mode and copy the strat, or is it random? Enemies, I think, have randomized... The method is random. You could watch somebody and that will inform your decisions for a legendary Iron Man playthrough, but it is ultimately a turn-based game, and they can do whatever they want. The enemies, yeah. And the reason I do that is because Xbox always seems to find a way to ruin any momentum it builds up, typically through no fault of anyone but itself. Take the month of October, for instance. Microsoft is shipping not 1 or 2, but 3 really exciting new games in the next 30 days. The very awesome so far Ninja Gaiden 4, which revives the beloved fast-action franchise after a dormant decade. Double Fine's promising Keeper, the studio's next project after its Game Awards of the Game of the Year nominated Psychonauts 2. And ever-reliable Obsidian Entertainment's RPG shooter sequel, The Outer Worlds 2, which we've loved every time we've seen or played it. That's a potentially huge month for Xbox, particularly when so many Xbox fans remember how it wasn't long ago when we'd be lucky to get 3 ultra-promising first-party releases in an entire year, let alone a single month. XCOM 2. But the Platinum has very many challenging... It's a gauntlet of challenging trophies. For sure. All 3 will drop onto Xbox Game Pass on day 1, but this is the part where Xbox starts stepping on all those rakes. Effective immediately, you'll need to pay a whopping 50% more for that privilege. Microsoft is... Marquise, do you have PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium? Effective immediately, you'll need to pay a whopping 50% more for that privilege. Microsoft has raised Game Pass prices for the 3rd year in a row, with the Give Me All the Day 1 releases tier now setting players back $30 a month. 14 months ago, by the way, Game Pass Ultimate was $17. That's how high and how fast the price has risen. In fairness to Microsoft, the company has added more to Ultimate. Ubisoft Plus Classics, Fortnite Crew, and higher resolution cloud gaming. I can see why it's harder than Wolfenstein 2. But then again, Mein Leben is a bronze. The developers were wrong to hint at Mein Leben being a bronze trophy. Because of stuff like that, it has skewed the association between hard trophies and trophy value. So, yeah. It's also worth mentioning that multiple... Oh, you used to have... I didn't read that, I'm sorry. You used to have PlayStation Plus. Extra or Premium. May I ask why you stopped buying PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium? It's also worth mentioning that multiple likely Game of the Year candidates hit Game Pass Ultimate on day 1 this year. Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Blue Prince. But we all know that the biggest appeal of Game Pass are those day 1 benefits for Xbox published games, and this price increase feels directly targeted at that. For the record, PC Game Pass is going from $12 to $16.49 per month. This comes immediately on the heels of the company jacking up Xbox console prices for the second time in the past 4 months, with the top-end Xbox Series X now carrying an eye-watering price tag of $800. But that $800 almost sounds like a bargain next to the much-hyped ROG Xbox Ally X handheld gaming PC, which weighs in at $999 US. Because I will just start games and never go back, that's why I'm cleaning the backlog now. Fair enough. I'm keeping my PlayStation Plus subscription because I game share, and it kind of cuts the price in half in my view. Sure, there's a less powerful, more affordable version for $599, but nobody knows if that one's worth a because Microsoft has only ever let media and influencers get their hands on the more powerful Ally X. Really? Hopefully it proves useful, as the Series S has for the non-hardcore gamer part of the market. The only thing the Xbox folks haven't raised prices on are first-party games. Oh, they tried with The Outer Worlds 2, to be clear, and they inevitably will next year, when Fable, Gears of War E-Day, Forza Horizon 6, etc. drop. But the Xbox community wasn't having any of that, and Microsoft relented. I realize we live in crazy times, and that Sony and Nintendo are not exactly blameless here either. After each of them raised prices on their own aging hardware in the past year, with Nintendo also aggressively raising software prices for the Switch 2 generation as well. Would you say XCOM 2 is harder than Super Meat Boy Plat? My experience, because I cheesed XCOM 2. The cheese XCOM 2, of course, is easier than Super Meat Boy. But harder than without using the exploit, harder than Super Meat Boy? I don't think so. Greater room for error, a lot more creativity with the approach when you play XCOM 2. Super Meat Boy is just, you jump, and that's it. It's tough. Blame the Trump tariffs if you want to. Microsoft does. But I'm sorry. At the end of the day, the buck stops with Microsoft. This is a company with a market cap of nearly $4 trillion who has done layoff after layoff after spending upwards of $80 billion on studio and publisher acquisitions. And it's fair to wonder if those naysayers who question the sustainability of Game Pass and its business models are being proven right with this latest, deepest round of price hikes. Does SMB require luck in no death or skills? Infinitely more skills than luck. The levels are virtually the same every time. Yeah, there's no unless it's controller input or whatever, the only variability comes from infinitely more skills than luck, in my opinion. It comes down to peripherals. The game itself, no luck. The only variability comes from everything that's not the game. Is Crash 4 harder than XCOM 2 without cheese, of course? No, I don't think so, in my opinion. I kind of look back on the relics fondly now that I think about it. The levels were varied, entertaining. Yeah. But that's kind of comparing apples to oranges, because XCOM 2 is a strategy RPG, and Crash 4 is a platformer. And it's fair to wonder if those naysayers who question the sustainability of Game Pass and its business model are being proven right with this latest, deepest round of price hikes. I heard my friend say Crash 4 is pain. Crash 4 is pain. I agree. A lot of repetition, just like Super Meat Boy. But XCOM 2 and Super Meat Boy, the legit XCOM 2, are in their own world of difficulty. What's worse is that in the bigger picture, we've reached a sad point where gaming is becoming less accessible to new players rather than more. He said it's harder than Ninja Gaiden 2 to him. I have not played Ninja Gaiden 2, and I don't remember, so I have no idea. I have no idea what the difficulty scale is like. You're also talking to a guy who thought Wolfenstein 2 wasn't that challenging because I grew up on shooters. Shooter instincts definitely played a role in my success with that platinum trophy. Historically, console prices go down and the size and quality of the game library goes up over the course of a generation, leading to more units sold and a healthier ecosystem for everyone inside it. Yeah, it requires 8 playthroughs, 35 tag missions, 10 out of 10 platinum. Well, you won't see me doing that anytime soon. unless I'm motivated and the right person brings me along to that platinum trophy. In the right conditions, I don't know. And while again, the blame for the absence of that And while again, the blame for the absence of that this generation does not rest squarely on Microsoft's shoulders, the actions of Team Xbox are of a company that isn't showing a lot of empathy towards its customers, as the cost of groceries, gas, and other bare essentials keeps going up. Again, these larger economic issues aren't Microsoft's fault, and it has to contend with rising development costs too, but they are choosing profit over players. You and Nick AR are FPS god. I cheesed one critical part of the Black Ops 3 Platinum Trophy, so I am exempt from that title. As such, while I recognize that this Xbox console generation isn't over yet, it's almost certainly going to be remembered first and foremost for Microsoft's greed. 2 hardware price increases and counting, 3 Xbox Game Pass price increases and counting, 1 software price increase so far, and tens of thousands of layoffs, as well as multiple studio closures. I gotta do it for my 100th platinum. I don't want to play this game 8 times, man. For a gold trophy, the platinum is what matters. The platinum is what matters. Everything under the platinum, you can rearrange the order as much as you want. I think, in my opinion, the summation of trophies under the platinum trophy will always equal out among games. Unless I'm wrong and I did the math wrong, but you know what I mean? It's kind of a monkey's paw situation, really. All Xbox gamers have wanted, since the start of the catastrophic Xbox One generation, was a steady supply of great first-party games. They compared Deadbolt to Wolfenstein, but Deadbolt is a 9 out of 10, Wolfenstein 2 is a 10 out of 10. Yeah. Yeah. It's just when you're in that realm of hard platinum trophies, you start comparing, and then you realize, oh, they're all difficult, and they all need time to do. Thought about Trials Rising for my 100th platter, Super Meat Boy. They're both, I've heard both they're challenging. You should try Super Meat Boy, so you can relate to, at least me. I don't know. Trials Rising sounds cool, too. Well, we're in 2025, we're finally getting that, and as I've already mentioned, 2026 is shaping up to be banger too, but it's coming at the cost of, well, practically everything else. But it's not our fault. Instead, Microsoft's greed is to blame. Well, that was charged. Alright. You already got Ninja Gaiden 2? Congratulations. Congrats. Next, we're going to look at Dave Meltzer's ratings because above anything, I love professional wrestling. I love it. Professional wrestling is fantastic. I didn't watch any of this media in the past, so I will have no opinion. I just want to make an excuse for reacting to these. All right, Kyle Fletcher versus Orange Cassidy. What's this, for the TNT Championship? Oh, okay. We have the 6-man tag. Okay, cool. Do Super Meat Boy soon, but not now. It's going to take me forever because no death run for 20 levels. No death run for 20 levels? 12 times. 12 times. Okay, we have the TNT title match. Kyle Fletcher versus Orange Cassidy. 4 stars. 4.25 for this one. We have Adam Page and the Ops versus Death Riders. 4 stars. This was the 6-year anniversary, right? Okay. Tony Storm versus Ty Mello. Okay. Gates of Agony versus The Swirl. Darby Allin and Chris Statlander defeat the Death Riders in a no DQ mixed tornado tag match, 3.75 stars. Javon Evans and Leon Slater versus Nico Vance and Sean Spears. I'm excited for this match between Javon Evans and Leon Slater for the X Division title at Bound for Glory, Lowell, Massachusetts, October 12th. But there is so much pro wrestling in the next few months or so. The fact that people still get the Super Meat Boy plat is still insane. What are you at this point? By that point, you've secured yourself as a trophy hunter. People who get the Super Meat Boy Platinum Trophy, I mean, they don't take trophy hunting lightly. Unless they cheese it somehow, I don't know. Javon Evans and Leon Slater versus the Culling, 4.25 stars. The Vision versus the Usos Tornado Tag Match, 3.75 stars. We have other stuff too, but okay. Is that it? What was this? The New Beginning or Destruction in Kobe? I guess there's nothing for that. Bandito and Mystico versus Defunto and the Beast Mordos. Oh, I finally saw the MJF Mystico match. Short, but I didn't know that CMLL was a strictly no-blood promotion. Do you eat cheese sausage pizza? Yeah, sure. Is that a euphemism? Is that code? I like a cheese sausage pizza. Bandito and Mystico defeat Defunto and Mordos. Okay. Yep. 4.25 stars. CMLL, Lucha. Azumi. Okay, World of Stardom title and New Japan. Okay, 4.5 stars. Oh, I forgot about that. Oops. Favorite meal? I would like that too. We got a 6-man tag match. Death Riders versus Matt Menard and Paragon, 4 stars. The Acclaimed. I mean, they're not Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. I just know them as The Acclaimed. The Acclaimed to defeat The Swirl. What the flip is The Swirl? 3.5 stars. Kyle Fletcher versus Commander, 4.5 stars. Jamie Hayter versus Julia Hart, 3.5 stars. Cool. Alright, we have NXT No Mercy. Singles match between Javon Evans and Josh Briggs, the 6'8" powerhouse, right? Yeah. 4.25 stars. Jordan Grace versus Blake Monroe in a weaponized steel cage match, 3 stars. Ethan Page versus Tavion Heights for the North American title, 3.75 stars. JC Jane versus Lola Vice for the NXT Women's title, 3.5 stars. Ricky Saints defeats Obet Femi for the NXT title, 3.5 stars. Is that it? Templario versus Viano Trace Junior. Is that how you say it? 4.25 stars. Okay, World Historic Welterweight title. Capitan Suicida, 3.5 stars. Javon Evans versus Sami Zayn, 4.25 stars. This is great. I mean, Sami Zayn is on the run of his life with this U.S. title. My gosh. Also, XCOM takes 100, bro. That's like going for the S&B Platinum. Yes, I agree. If you do it legitimately. But the Super Meat Boy Platinum is 100 hours estimate because you have to keep repeating and repeating every level until you get it. It's just repetition. It's a gauntlet. It's brutal. When a level that takes a minute to complete requires an hour of training. That's Super Meat Boy in a nutshell. Carmelo Hayes versus Sami Zayn. It's got 4 stars, right, or something? I don't know. But yeah, Cena, Ray Fenix, Javon Evans. My gosh. Sami Zayn really taking this title to new heights. This was crazy, I heard. Okay, we got CMLL. Halucha. Wait, what? Pokemon. Okay. Team Halucha defeat Team Machamp. 4 stars. Is that it? I think XCOM 2's plat is harder than Super Meat Boy LOL because it's a strategy game. Yeah, I mean, by those merits, you can come to that conclusion that XCOM 2 may be harder than Super Meat Boy. What was last week? Am I counting correctly? Last week was the 26th. Okay, I counted that already. Alright, so that's Meltzer. Thank you, Meltzer. Next. Oh, here's a Figure 4 wrestling article. Figure 4 wrestling, yeah. Andrade to face Lucha Legend in Indie Dream match. Oh my gosh. He's back in AEW. Great. Tony Khan is a nice guy. From Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online's Joseph Courier. Andrade to face Lucha Legend in Indie Dream match. Oh, great. Why can't I read this? New AEW signee Andrade is set to compete in an Indie Dream match later this month. Mucha Lucha Atlanta. Maybe it's not LOL. I just know XCOM 2 Iron Man mode can go south real quick. Agreed. Mucha Lucha Atlanta has announced that Andrade will face off against Lucha Legend LA Park at the promotion. Stop. Just copyright. Promotion show in Norcross, Georgia on Sunday, October 26th. It marks the first time the two have ever faced each other one-on-one. Whoa! Wait. 2020... No. Never mind. On Sunday, October 26th, it'll be the 9th anniversary of this of my first YouTube video. My Lehman can go south. What made... Oh, yeah, the unskippable cutscene. 7 minutes of it at the beginning. True. Ooh, LA Park. I can't... A fight never seen before, a true dream match, something that seemed impossible, Mucha Lucha Atlanta wrote. Andrade El Idolo, El Ingobernable, goes head-to-head against the living legend, LA Park, La Autentica Parka, the ring assassin. A one-on-one clash that will shake MLA. A clash of generations, styles, and egos. 2 wrestling giants who will hold nothing back. Espacio Discoteque, ATL, will be the venue for the show. On the 6th anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite last night, Andrade made his return to the company by joining the Don Callis family and targeting Kenny Omega. Andrade then posted a tweet today teasing that Omega was only the first name on his AEW hit list. Oh, he has a hit list. Who's M? W? Wheeler Yuta? Andrade is back in AEW after his first run ended at the end of 2023. He returned to WWE at that time, but was released from his WWE contract last month. In addition to his show and his AEW return, Andrade has also booked appearances for The Crash and House of Glory. LA Park, the original La Parka, is a member of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame, along with his work in Mexico. He spent time in the United States with WCW and MLW during his career. Thanks, Andrade. He's back. Tony Khan's a nice guy. Can I join AEW? Anyway. Bars I may look at soon. Okay, this was basically me skimming through the New Music Friday catalog and just picking out stuff that looks cool. Is Tony Hawk really an 8 out of 10? I don't know if you know about Tony Hawk. Pro Skater? I don't know. I don't know how hard it is. I just saw my buddy play Skate the other day, and he's just Tony Hawk. I don't know. I haven't really looked into the Pro Skater stuff, or Underground, or whatever. Alright, bars I may look at soon. We have the single from Hit Boy and the Alchemist, Business Merger. We have an album, 100 Nights from Rashid Isaiah. Has a lot of Griselda features on it. I just remember the Conway the Machine feature. We have an album from El Camino and the Black Soprano Family, Mino. Expect a lot of Griselda features on that. And a single from Slain, Static Selecta, Ill Bill, and Paul Wall. You love Super Meat Boy and Splasher Plat? I mean, I don't know if I love them. I have Super Meat Boy. I don't think I'll ever touch Splasher, ever. Is it that hard? Nah. Coco Grills from Slain, Static Selecta, Ill Bill, and Paul Wall. Cool. Next, the legendary TikTok 10 swipes. Legendary, because anything can happen on this app. I only use this app for, I don't scroll through this app ever. Alright, here's number 1. Super Meat Boy Forever over Splasher? Probably, because I'm familiar. Here's the first one. Sleep music. Okay. Swipe number 1.
So, this Friday, October 3rd, right here, October 3rd, I'm going to be playing a pop-up set. Rave. Pop-up rave over at Hanson.
Number 2 doesn't count. Clash Royale ad. Number 2. Number 3. Would you take this offer? Limited food, best Wi-Fi, this basketball court, this sauna, this water park, this trampoline park, this football pitch, and this gym. But you have to live with your first app. No. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max. Wait. One, 2, 3, 4 does not count. Slots add 4. Huh? 5. It's just what the flip. Number 5. Number 6, live doesn't count. Number 6, to all the mature men out there. Name one mistake you've made in life so a young man won't repeat it. I don't know. Flippin' delegate. I don't know. What was that, 6? 7.
The beach rave. Exact location is going to be towards where the first set of bathrooms are. However, it's not directly in front of it. But I made sure it was at least close by so people could have easy access and go to it. So right around that area as well will be not the rocks. Don't go to the rocks. But please, if you're coming to hang out today, make sure you pick up after yourself. Bring water, bring vibes, and bring your friends. And in true rave spirit, let's all respect each other. Since when did the cops start driving Audi? Just kidding, guys. I do not want a felony.
8.
Wireless ambient lights you can stick anywhere on your car.
Wait, was that 7 or 8? 7, 8?
Anywhere under the car or even in the wheel well.
Is that an ad? 8? It's a commission ad. I don't know if something's friends only. Eight. XCOM 2 got an alien on the color. Are you killing aliens or what? Yes. Yes, you are. You are killing aliens. The whole game. You're killing aliens. 9. Ad doesn't count.
Tonight's the night.
10.
It's going to happen again.
The flip was that, bro? Asian singer. Yeah, that's somebody in the community. Okay. Dude, I just have it in my feed. All right, next. Freestyle. Have I done an hour yet? Ooh, I'm almost at an hour. Freestyle. Okay. AEW just took Andrade back in. AEW just took Andrade back in. Tylenol does not cause autism. United States, Sami Zayn on the run of his life. Xbox greed. Causing consumer strife. All right, next. Until I do an hour, the floor is yours. An hour, and it will be in 2.5 minutes. So whatever people want in 2.5 minutes. I'm all ears. I'm all ears. I did the podcast today. I'm actually gonna update the calendar next to my bed, or my computer. I still have to do the bar riding stream today. That's right. I'll do that later. Podcast and a bar riding stream. I'm a busy guy. When did I ever have 2 viewers? I'm gonna drink some Dr. Pepper, and then I'm gonna do that bar riding stream. Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz. Nice. We're closing in on a minute. I don't know. What if I double it as a bar riding stream, huh? What bars do I got right now? Welcome to the trap. Oh, all I have to do is write this ending, and then it's the Asian cipher. I'm really excited to write to the Asian cipher. No skit because I'm from the future. Heartfelt, but I sound like a snoozer. No skit because I'm from the future. Ooh, the juices are already flowing with the bars. So yeah, welcome to the trap. Then 2 Asian cipher verses, 1 day 0 verse, And I gotta write the outro for the refresh. And I just did an hour. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.